Ready?
And then that's not good. Then you could have got an extra pen next to you.
Not to read this edition, but I did a little report on how many people they served last year versus the year before.
They had a warning. This time I will call this special meeting of the Port Lavaca City Council to order on this Monday, January 26, 2026 at 5:37 p.m. And we will skip the usual formalities. Yeah, but I will ask if there's anyone that is signed up to make comments or speak before council.
No Felicia tonight? Again.
Is signed in? Okay, so with that, we will move on to our special meeting agenda. Action items. Action item number 1, receive presentation from Republic Services representative and consider a proposed 3-year contract extension to the Republic Service Solid Waste contract, which expires November 30th, 2027. Bob Bradley is here. Republic. Bob, you want to come up? Tell us
We just,
plan for
we're
this.
just receiving this, we're not voting on it?
No, we can vote on, no, we received it last meeting, and so Bob is here to, to give us, answer any questions that it might have, and at this point, if council wanted to move forward, we would vote. If you don't want to do anything or take no action, then the 4% will just automatically goes in.
Yeah, so hi. I'm Bob Bradley. I'm the general manager for Public Services. So yeah, it's pretty simple. It's a so every year the city usually gets a 4% increase. It's a flat rate increase. What we did was we asked the city if they would like for us to waive that fee this year. And by waiving the 4%, we were asking for a 3-year extension. And I know we've done that in the past. It's always been 5, but we thought about doing a shorter term this time. One of the other things is we've been looking at recycling in the future and stuff like that. So we knew with changes, maybe, with some other presentations that I'd like to bring forward, maybe, in the near future, that we reduce that 5-year term down to a 3-year term.
Yeah, if you remember it, we did back in, 2022, we did approve a 5-year extension. And with that 5-year extension, Republic waived it for 2 years. Waived
Right.
2 years of the 4%. But as I recall, at the time, there was an option for 3 years that would have been a single, 4% decrease.
Yeah, and it's pretty much, of course, I didn't put that on this one, but, we thought, maybe just go with the 3-year this time, and we would, we'd do the same thing as last time and offer 2-year, a 2-year waive for 5 too. But, I get that in writing and get it to you, but it's it's really one of those things where, so there has been I would just say a lot of changes, and a lot of them were, COVID time and all that, when prices seemed like housing but our parts and trucks and all that did the same thing that houses did. It kind of just jumped, kind of exponentially, the pricing of parts and tires and all those good things that we provide, with our trucks, and they really jumped up. And so a 4% increase is not bad, because our prices we had a couple of years where they jumped probably close to 20-30% on just our parts. I just think that this is an opportunity to waive that if the city would like to, and either do the 3 or do the 5. Any questions or?
How many trucks you got serving this area?
So right now I have 13.
13 trucks?
13 up here. Yes, sir. No,
And what about the driver? I'm not,
I have 100 in Corpus, but I have 13 here, and
and your drivers? You got, how many drivers serve this area?
I have 13 drivers.
13?
Yes, sir.
Or you kind of rotate them, or?
No, the ones that are here live up here. They're here full time. So we run those out of the Victoria landfill.
Or you park the trucks over there?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we run the city of Victoria landfill for the city. We have an operating contract.
Well,
And again, if council, is not prepared or ready to commit to an extension to Republic yet, like was kind of discussed the last meeting, the 4% would go ahead and kick in. Their contract does not expire until the end of November of 2027. So we would revisit this issue next fall or this fall. And to make it, by that time, we'll probably know more about the recycling and everything. But at that time, we would revisit this issue again. And because, if there was a desire to go out for bids, we need a good year to do that whole process.
Well, the other thing, so if you redo, it doesn't lock you into the service that you have now. So we could still change service during the term of the contract.
And I think it was interesting, I put in the memo that, when Republic first came with the city, it was back in 2010, actually. And there's been quite a few changes to the service since that time. It was even from 2010, I don't think we had the automatic carts until, 2015 or 16 or whatever.
The automatic came later. That was part of the reason for continuing the service at a lower rate, was to go to automatic.
Yeah. Well, in 2010, the cost for 2 times a week garbage, 1 time a week bulk, and 2 times a month brush was $14.95. You bring that forward with the municipal cost index to the latest one published, which is November of 2025. That would bring $14.95 in 2010 dollars is $22.81 in November 2025 dollars. So, we're on, the current rate with the 4% increase is $21.96. So it's within, inflationary measures.
I thought we had talked about, I think 4% is, I don't have anything against it. I think it's great. But I thought we had talked about the idea of maybe getting some more bids. Didn't that?
Well, that's what we would need to make that decision by, say November, December of this year.
That's where I was last meeting. That's where Justin was.
I don't think that's a bad idea. It's not like we have to make a decision today. But, again, I don't see nothing wrong with your prices.
So my recommendation would be not to forward with the 3-year contract and then go out for the bids. With 3 year. I'll just say the service you guys have provided lately has been quite good. Obviously you abandoned us in RD. And so I remember that, and I was not happy with that, and none of us were. And, you guys can spin that any way you want, but you abandoned us. So,
So I'd kind of like you to explain that.
there's no explanation. You can tell it how you want, but you chose to take other jobs and you left us with no service. So,
No, well, actually, if you have a hurricane, then you become part of FEMA. And if you're going to get your money from FEMA, and we're not allowed to collect the debris on the ground other than the regular trash. So we no longer do the bulky and brush pickup. That's mandated by FEMA. Okay. All righty. Thank you.
What do you, I don't remember that you said they abandoned us?
So when Harvey came, we had all the refuse out, right?
Yeah.
So they declared force majeure and said that for them to come in, they could only pick up the same amount that they would normally pick up, but yet people would be upset because there was so much more debris available. But yet they didn't pick up what they by contract would pick up. They didn't pick up anything. They just didn't come. And so as a city, we said, okay, although as a council, we didn't all agree at that time. So I don't know about the FEMA thing. That didn't come up during the discussion. But
So eventually, they picked it up eventually, or?
No, I mean,
No, we had to pay.
we have, yeah, when we have a hurricane, we have, what we did not have in Hurricane Harvey is a pre-disaster contract, which we do have now. We're all set to go. But at that time, the staff, again, in 2016-17, hadn't thought to do a pre-disaster contract.
But it was asked, not with them, but overall.
The city did not have a pre-disaster contract, and so in order, so we weren't going to be stuck with this $300,000 bill that FEMA would pay us back. We had to follow FEMA's rules, and FEMA's rules is you have to do procurement in compliance with federal guidelines, and so that's what the delay was. Is we had to go out and get bids because we didn't have a pre-disaster contract. And so as a result, if they had come in and done anything, that would have muddied the waters and we would not have gotten reimbursed. And so that was the decision that was made, that we wanted to be reimbursed for, we didn't want the citizens to have to pay, $200,000 to $300,000 that the federal government would pay for it. But we have to follow the federal government's rules in order to get that reimbursement. And I don't remember the exact amount, but I think it was in the neighborhood of $300,000 total, which that would have included the pickup and the monitoring. If we did everything ourselves, we wouldn't have to monitor it, but it would have still been at least $200,000. But I'd have to go back and see exactly what those numbers were. But that was the decision at the time, that we didn't, the federal government was going to pay 90%. And actually, the state of Texas was paying 75% of that 10%. So there's a very small amount of that we were going to have to pay ourselves if we follow the rules.
And this company that ended up with the contract, North Star.
no, I think
No, the True North did the monitoring. The actual collection company was out of Louisiana.
so by that time, several of our districts had already moved all of their trees and stuff and taken them to the county because the county was allowed to burn. But Republic still could have come in and picked up what they normally would pick up, and they didn't.
I mean, I don't, I was 10 days on the job, and I don't know.
You were new,
FEMA,
so, but
I just know FEMA is very picky.
Sure, and the city just said, okay. There was no decision here. So, I'm assuming that they had jobs elsewhere, which is fine for them, but it wasn't fine for us.
Declared by the governor and president for public services.
I mean, it was a, declared disaster. And again, and I don't, it would have been very, it would have been complicated because we wouldn't have been we didn't have a monitor on them. And so FEMA would come back and say, well, we don't know what you're doing.
Yeah,
And
and
so,
we were still paying our $14 or $20 a month for the service that they did not provide.
that is true. I mean, we're paying contracts.
We did not get reimbursed. They did say they would provide a couple dumpsters for, I don't know, something, which never happened. So I'm just saying, it was not a good thing. So Republic was not well represented at that moment, although, I mean, their service now is good. I will say that, so.
And I mean, you know, and granted, I, you know, would like to say that, I mean, they did have some initial challenges, but we finally made it through with an extreme amount of brush after the 21 freeze or 20 freeze, whenever the freeze was. That had probably more brush than, well, no, a comparable amount than that we would have had in a hurricane. But in that one, we did not, you know, we did rely upon Republic totally to do that, and we didn't go out for a disaster contract.
So that problem is now we have a backup.
I mean, now
Right.
there won't be the delay, right? Because we have a disaster contract. That's what the problem was before. We couldn't start because if we had started, and I can tell you, I had contractors calling me and telling me, all you have to do is, you know, take a bid on the back of a napkin, and FEMA will take it. I knew better than that. I've been working on federal projects my entire career, and so we had to go through CFR 200 and go through all the requirements for advertising and getting bids. We did it on an emergency basis. It was a shorter period than it would otherwise be, but still we had to go through that process. And that did take, by the time we got everything done and awarded, it was about a month delay.
Well, there was debris everywhere. It wasn't just Port Lavaca. I mean, you
Yeah,
can drive around.
but the county was different because the county, they did it themselves.
The county did it themselves. The
Yeah.
county took the initiative. They just did it, and then they got reimbursed. The city chose to wait and get contracts in place. We have money to handle these things, and the other alternative would be just to do it. We didn't do that. We waited, and we had all this debris. Some of our districts, we had citizens took care of it because we took it out to the county. So like in my district, there wasn't that much to clear up by the time the companies came in because we had already cleared it up. So, I mean, it was a mess from the city side. It was a mess but the issue with Republic in general is they didn't show up. We still had to pay the monthly contract. They declared force majeure, fine, okay, but we didn't get any relief. We still had to pay for them not doing what the contract said. So I don't like that.
So the next time we have another storm like that,
If there's a storm
they're gonna be
gonna,
prepared to come.
No,
there's a storm gonna hit us, our debris monitor and our debris contractor will be staged and waiting.
unless
They won't have nothing to do with it.
unless council votes to just use general fund dollars. That's always an option. And then we don't have to worry about the federal government.
They're still gonna be staged and waiting for our okay to come in and clean up. They'll be at less than a week.
Well,
Once the storm hits.
Yeah,
That's the purpose of a disaster
That's why
contract.
it's a pre-disaster contract. That's why we already have it ready to go. But like I said, that was not in place in 2007.
it was not. That's true.
No, 'cause, well, as a council, we kept asking to see any of the policies and procedures on disaster, and we never received anything. That we did do, and we never, I mean, so it wasn't necessarily all Republic or all whatever FEMA says, it was us too, because we should take care of us.
Well, and I can tell you that the 90% reimbursement rate and the 75% from the state of Texas, that's the first time that's ever happened. And I don't think it'll happen again. But that was unique to that storm. Usually it's 75%, which anymore, I think anything we've had since it's been 75%.
And now the way federal FEMA laws work, if you touch the brush before a monitor's on the site, you don't get nothing.
Right. They're very picky now. Yeah.
You can't touch the brush until the monitor's on site.
And council just wanted things cleaned up. We really weren't interested in waiting a month. So.
I wasn't in.
Good.
you
Our
weren't-
citizens
you weren't-
know,
That wasn't your call.
Yeah.
So, at that time.
she did all the work.
So it was a mess all right. Anyway,
Okay.
Next.
but my point is we never got reimbursed for the service not provided.
You know how much that amount was?
For what?
The amount that we didn't get reimbursed?
Three or four pickups, right? It was 2 months.
Yeah, I don't know how that's identified in the contract.
28.
Well, they declared force majeure, so,
Yeah.
That's allowed, but they were picking up, it wasn't like their company was destroyed. Their trucks were still working. They were just working in other cities. So,
What? We carry it over to the next?
No, I mean, right now, if there's no action taken, or if you want to take action, to specifically, but no action is needed. If you don't take any action, the 4% goes into effect. It's already in the contract. And then we'll just bring this up again like in
That's-
November.
2196.
Yes, it will go, yes. 4% goes to 2196,
And the
yes.
current rate is what?
2112.
So there's no motion needed?
No. It's already in the contract.
We have no motion, no action. Guess we'll take no action, and we will move to our next agenda item, which is to agenda item number 2, receive presentation of the Texas Department of Agriculture Form A1024, Texas Community Development Grant, Section 3, Goals and Concepts as related to the CDBG program and grant contract CDV 230209. Jody?
All right, Mayor Council, I'm going to do the best I can with this. This is regards our TXCBG grant program. This is a presentation of information that is required of the grant. There is no approval or adoption of any policy required. It's just information that needs to be presented in a public forum. It is a requirement in order that we can then submit construction draws for this project when it comes time. Again, this is the TXCDBG project that we awarded to Lester Construction at the last council meeting. The city of Port Lavaca recently received this grant. Following grant award was grant contract number CDB 23-0209. The award amount was $500,000, and the project was wastewater improvements. And these wastewater improvements are on Helping Lane. It's LaSalle and
LaSalle and,
Trinity.
yeah, I think Trinity.
All right. The grant is funded through the Community Development Block Grant via the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development and the Texas Department of Agriculture. As a condition of this funding, the city of Port Lavaca must comply with Section 3 of the Housing and Urban Development Act of 1968. And just as some additional information, the purpose of Section 3 of the Housing and Urban Development Act of 1968 is to ensure that economic opportunities, most importantly employment, generated by certain HUD financial assistance shall be directed to low and very low income persons, particularly those who are recipients of government assistance for housing or residents of the community in which the federal assistance is spent. Now, to the greatest extent feasible, grant recipients, which is the city of Port Lavaca, must direct economic opportunities generated by these CDBG funds to low and very low income persons. There's no requirement, there's no, amount of Section 3 persons that needs to be awarded any work associated with this project. It's just, we must make a good faith effort and making the Section 3 information available to the public and to the contractors. We did include the appropriate Section 3 information in the bid documents, so the bidders are aware of this requirement. So the contractor, which would be Lester, if, for example, they needed to hire labor for specifically for this project, they need to make a good faith effort to make low and very low income persons aware of the opportunities and, if possible, hire such Section 3 persons. In part, all this means that ensuring that Section 3 businesses have the information to submit a bid or proposal for the project. Like I said, we did include that information in our bid solicitations. Section 3 workers have information about any available job opportunities related to the project. Again, this information was part of the bid package in the contract documents that Lester Contracting was awarded. For precise definitions, there's a policy issuance guidance manual that gives specific definitions of all this. I do have a copy here. I think there's a link to it further down in the presentation. A company may qualify as a Section 3 business if it is owned by low-income persons, is owned by Section 8 assisted housing residents, or 75% of all labor hours for the business in a 3-month period are performed by Section 3 workers. There is a website where businesses can register as a Section 3 business. The website that is included in this presentation was recently changed by the federal government. So I put the new link on a separate piece of paper on your tables, and I did provide the WAVE a copy of this as well. The new location is at exchange.info/program/section3/resources-hub/business-owners. The project is expected to include the following contracting opportunities. GrantWorks is the grant administrator for this project. Urban Engineering is the engineering services, and Lester Contracting is the construction services the contractor for the project. So again, if any of these contractors that we have already contracted with are looking for subcontractors or, again, workers specific for this project, that they by contract need to make a good faith effort to include Section 3 businesses or workers in their solicitation as they're looking to hire people. You may qualify as a Section 3 worker if your annual income is below the county threshold for your family size. In this presentation, there is the 2025 income limit summary that shows the median family income is $91,600. And then you can see, depending on the number of people in the family, from 1 to 8, the income limits for very low income, extremely low income, and low income. You are a current or a recent youth build participant. You register your information and search for opportunities at workintexas.com if you are a Section 3 worker. Section 3 workers that reside near the project location may also qualify as a targeted Section 3 worker. For this project, that service area is defined by the map that's included in this presentation, which is basically the circled area around the center point, which is the location of the project. So the south part of town, southwest part of town, and mid part of town. In record keeping, the city of Port Lavaca, with GrantWorks as our grant administrator, will track all the hours that are worked on the project based upon the 3 categories of workers, being all workers, any Section 3 workers, and targeted Section 3 workers. This will require collection of certain income information from the workers. The TXCDBG policy issuance 28-1 that I mentioned previously, this is a link to that document in this presentation, but I do have a copy here if anybody's interested. And then there's 24 CFR Part 75, which is this policy in the federal Code of Federal Regulations. And so that is the required presentation. Again, this is something that normally GrantWorks would have been here to present to us. GrantWorks, our project manager with GrantWorks, has very recently resigned from GrantWorks, and so we have been assigned a new project manager, and she was unable to be here. But if there's any questions that we can relay back to them, to GrantWorks, they'll be happy to put some information and get those answered.
What's the new manager's name? What's the new manager's name?
Her name is Rebecca, and I don't remember her last name.
Have feelings with her?
No, I don't know her. I think this all happened literally last week, because when we put this originally on the agenda, Jennifer was her name. She was going to be here.
Yeah, and
And then she sent an email, I'm no longer with GrantWorks. And
we've
so-
had bad lucks with Jennifer's as our project managers. 3 of the GrantWorks Jennifer have quit.
Well, and honestly, there's one thing with GrantWorks, they've just gotten so big, it's very hard keeping up with who's in charge of which project. But anyway, she is new, but I did speak with her off and on today, because I had some questions myself, especially when I found out that this one link didn't work. It went someplace, and I said, well, according to this, we're supposed to make sure we mention this link in the presentation, but the link doesn't work. I got to find a new link, and we were able to identify it. So
we're just receiving this, there's no action.
this is right. This is information for the public, and I told CJ that I'll make sure and get some information if he wants to put a little article together.
Who's going to monitor the program?
It was GrantWorks.
GrantWorks.
Yes.
We'll also do advertising for it.
I don't think there's any advertising required. It's just that in the construction contracts, or the engineering contracts, whatever that we have with our contractors, they know that, that's their responsibility. If they're going to hire somebody specific for this job, they'll need to follow the Section 3 guidelines.
GrantWorks already did a door-to-door survey to ensure that we were in the right area for this project.
For the beneficiaries, yes.
They're not gonna do any
That part's
more.
already been taken care of. This is just for
Companies
the
that-
workers and the contractors that are going to have an opportunity to receive a contract or a job associated with this
Apply
project.
to that many
Who's the
people.
contract that we're,
Correct.
what's the actual work that we're discussing?
The sewer line replacement on Trinity and LaSalle.
Yeah. So that's it.
Good.
Okay. Do it. See the presentation.
Yes, that's it.
No other action is required.
Correct.
So we will move on to agenda item number 3. Consider agreement for temporary closure of state right-of-way with Texas Department of Transportation to close Main Street between Virginia and Commerce Street from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Saturday, March 7th, 2026 for the Port Lavaca Art Walk event. Dania, you got several on the road.
This is just the normal required, we have to have your approval to close the road to make application to Tech Stop for the art walk, which is March 7th.
So you're not asking for any money?
I'm not asking for any money. I have 4 agenda items, none of them ask for money.
Oh. So you have several here. Okay, make a motion, we approve the temporary closure of the street.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the temporary closure of Main Street and between Virginia and Commerce Street from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Saturday, March 7th for the Port Lavaca Art Walk event. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. If none opposed, motion passes. Right, we'll move to agenda item number 5. Consider agreement for the temporary closure of the state right-of-way with the Texas Department of Transportation to close
We're on four.
Four.
Do five.
Huh? Oh, consider the option of temporary closure of Colorado Street and Guadalupe Street between Railroad Street and Live Oak Street for Saturday, March 7th, 2026, as needed to support the Port Lavaca Art Walk event. Yep.
This goes with item number 3. It's just they have to be two separate items because one is just city, one goes to TechStop. This just gives us the option to expand to the side streets should the need arise for safety or for food trucks or something like that, to use all or part of those side streets.
They make a motion to approve 4 and 6 at the same time. So those city.
Four and what?
They're two different events.
I have to call it.
have to separate it.
We have to, okay.
Yeah.
Make a motion to approve the temporary
Second.
closure of Colorado and Guadalupe.
Okay.
March 7th.
Rosa second.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the closure of Colorado and Guadalupe Street between Railroad and Live Oak Streets for Saturday, March 7th, 2026, as needed for the Port Lavaca Art Walk event. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. None opposed, motion passes. Right, we then move to agenda item number 5, consider agreement for the temporary closure of the state right-of-way with Texas Department of Transportation to close Main Street between Virginia and Commerce Street from 11 p.m. Friday, April 3rd, 2026 to noon on Sunday, April 5th, 2026 for the Iguana Fest event.
The same thing, application to TechStop. Those hours give us a little flexibility because we never know when the stage is going to come in and when exactly it's going to leave. This gives us a little flexibility to work within those hours. We don't close it for any longer than we have to.
It's just your yearly routine, right?
It is.
Okay, I motion that we consider the agreement of the temporary closure of state right of way with Texas Department of
Approve it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second approving the agreement for the temporary closure of the state right-of-way with Texas Department of Transportation to close Main Street between Virginia and Commerce Street from 11 p.m. Friday, April 3rd, 2026 to noon on Sunday, April 5th, 2026 for the Iguana Fest event. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. 2nd.
Him.
I second.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear you. Okay.
Any opposed, same sign. Hearing none opposed, motion passes. We'll move to agenda item number 6, consider option of temporary closure of Colorado Street and Guadalupe Street between Railroad Street and Live Oak Street on Saturday, April 4th, 2026, as needed to support the Iguana Fest event.
Same thing as with the Art Walk. There's more of a chance that we will use that option with the Iguana Fest than with the Art Walk, but we still need to have it.
It's pretty popular.
I motion to agree to close the Colorado Streets and Guadalupe Street between Railroad Street and Live.
Second.
We have a motion and a second approving the temporary closure of Colorado Street and Guadalupe Street between Railroad and Live Oak on Saturday, April 4th, 2026, as needed to support the Iguana Fest. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. And none opposed, motion passes.
Thank you.
Move now to agenda item number 7, consider resolution number R-012626-1, authorizing the submission of a Boating Access Grant Program 2026 grant application for the city of Port Lavaca offered by the Texas Parks and Wildlife. Jody?
Mayor Council, as far as some background information, the timber bulkhead that creates the basin, the Lighthouse Beach boat ramp, is well over 50 years old and in a state of deterioration. The entrance channel to this boat ramp basin silts up quickly following dredging operations. And in fact, we're right now in the process of getting bids to excavate, dredge this channel again using set-aside funds for this purpose. As you know, we are working with GLO KEPRA program to design a project that will restore and stabilize the sand beach area And although once complete, this project will help to lessen the deposits in the boat ramp channel, it does not directly solve the issue. So we're proposing to lengthen and reinforce the rock groin on the south of the entrance channel in order to provide protection further out into deeper water. Now that we've finally completed the boating access grant project for the Nautical Landings breakwater, we are looking to apply to Parks and Wildlife for a first phase planning grant for the engineering and permitting for these proposed improvements to the Lighthouse Beach boat ramp basin and entrance channel. This initial grant application is only for engineering and permitting. If approved, once this phase is complete, we will then apply for construction funding that we do not have to wait for in an actual funding cycle. It'll just move on to the construction cycle at the time we're done with the engineering and permitting. The grant, if awarded, will fund 75% of all engineering and construction costs. Now, I've attached a resolution that must be submitted with the grant application that authorizes the submission of the application, and it states that there are matching funds available. The grant is due actually on February 2nd, not 3rd. We are working with Urban Engineering to develop a scope and budget pricing. I was hoping to have something preliminary to bring to tonight's meeting, but Matt Blaze, who I'm working with Urban, he had gone to Dallas over the weekend and had some issues getting back in time, and he has not sent that information to me yet. Again, at this time, if awarded, we're just looking at the engineering and permitting costs. Projects with the Parks and Wildlife funds, as you know, can take several years. So if successful, the grant that we would be looking to budget, the matching funds for construction 2 to 3 years out. Matching funds would also be a good candidate to apply for Matagorda Bay mitigation funds. Now, I can tell you, I've been starting to work on this grant application, and this is a project in motion. And I learned today that I'm trying to verify whether or not the rock groin is actually on our on our property, or it's a GLO lease agreement that we had. I got a set of field notes from the appraisal district that seems to suggest that it is on our property, and if it's on our property, that's great. That's all we need. If it's not on our property, then the groin may not qualify for the grant, and so we would only be looking at the basin. So I'm working through those details this week. But bottom line, the application is due on the 2nd, and we have to have a resolution authorizing submission, or we can't submit at all. But we're still hoping to at least be able to submit an application for the bulkhead in the basin. And if we find out that, verify that the rock groin is on our property, we would include that as well.
So the groin, would we be replacing it with riprap or would it actual rock?
Rock.
Rock, real rock. So
Yes.
attractive.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know if it's necessarily replacing it, enhancing what's there and extending it. Yeah.
So any reason why we wouldn't want to do this?
No. I don't think so. I mean,
This resolution
it
covers
just,
you for both
it-
engineering and the construction.
yeah, I mean, this is for, actually, to be honest with you, we may need another resolution when we officially apply for construction dollars. This is the initial planning grant. When we've done it before, we didn't have to split it out. Now they require, we can only apply for planning and permitting, and then once that's done, then we can apply for construction. But the thing is, we don't have to wait for a February due date. It can be done anytime.
What kind of material will be used for that bulkhead?
Well, to be honest with you, one of the things that Matt is looking at is we may be able to do it without a bulkhead. He may be able to do riprap on the side. That's one of the options we're looking at.
It's kind of general.
Yes, it's very general.
Second,
That doesn't specify.
I think it's just got that it's for the boat ramp and Lavaca Bay.
To be safe, we probably have to reapply.
That's good.
Okay, so we have a motion to resolution authorizing the voting access grant program 2026 grant applications as presented. Do we have a second?
Yes.
Yes.
A motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. None opposed. Motion passes. Resolution R-01-1 passes. All right, we'll move to agenda item number 8. Consider resolution number R-01-2626-2, authorizing the submission of a criminal justice program fiscal year 2027 grant application for the city of Port Lavaca for police radio equipment upgrade. Jody, you're calling.
Colin.
Mayor Council, I was actually approached by Katarina about a grant that would, there's no matching as far as to fund radios, and basically it's handhelds and also car. Knowing how long the process is to see grant funding for radios, we're seeking basically a resolution to look into it. Now, as far as our radios, everything we have was obtained in 2020. So we're at the 6-year mark as far as that goes. So I know this is going to be kind of a long process of 2 to 3 years in order to get a lot of this accomplished. And then about that time, you're looking at kind of the in kind of time for radios when it comes to it. So this is just.
Are they broken?
They're not broken. There's no issues as far as our radios right now. This is just looking into the future and knowing that we're going to eventually have to buy.
Are they going to be different? Are they going to be different somehow?
I'm sure that technology changes all the time. And so when it comes to the time to actually pull the trigger, when it comes to radios, we'll find the latest and greatest. It's going to work well with the county, the fire, with our new dispatch center and everything like that. I couldn't tell you what's the latest and greatest when it comes to it. When we got these, in 2020, they were the latest and greatest. So
What do you do with the old one?
sometimes I know we didn't really have much to give last time. I think we were literally sharing 3 radios, so there wasn't a whole lot left. I think we maybe gave some to the street department. I think maybe we kind of they just ended up some
They
different.
end up being hand-me-downs if they're in it.
Yeah,
And then they don't,
yeah, they
the one, we got 2 of them. I don't know who got the 3rd, but they lasted like 3 months and then the batteries quit taking a charge. It was,
You were sharing 3 radios?
at one time when I was on patrol. It's a little rough.
How many radios do you need?
Well, there's 21 sworn counting me, so 21, and then usually a few spares.
I should have their own radio.
Yes, sir.
This program managed through the Golden Crescent.
No, sir. This is e-grants.
You got an extra radio?
But as far as the sticker price right now, as far as quote, if we were to buy them today, $386,192. That's for 8 in car, and then several handheld. So they're not getting cheaper.
Who's going to pay for that?
Hopefully, the government will.
I mean, that's why we're planning ahead. Again, all these grant projects take 2, 3 years more. And so this is an opportunity, I
We
mean,
need this resolution authorizing
in
the
order to even
submissions.
apply. Yes. Doesn't mean we're going to get it, but we've got to.
we've got several more of these resolutions coming. We are actively perusing grants like crazy.
You losing?
It's good.
Perusing.
Oh.
I spell that.
Don't ask me.
All right, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
We have a motion and a second approving resolution number R-01-2626-2, authorizing the submission of a criminal justice grant fiscal year 2027 grant application for the city of Port Lavaca for police department radio equipment upgrades as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. And none opposed, the motion passes. Resolution.
Thank you.
To agenda item number 10. Consider award of.
9.
Excuse me. I'm
Jack's hurrying us.
I'm trying to get that.
We did ask if this was going to take as long as last time. What?
Agenda item number 9, consider resolution number R-012626-3, authorizing the execution of an advanced funding agreement with the Texas Department of Transportation for Transportation Alternatives Set Aside Program Project. Jody?
Mayor, Council, as you recall, last June, Council authorized the submission of a grant application for the TxDOT Transportation Alternatives Set Aside Call for Projects. And we were notified on December 5th that our $1,996,000 TxDOT TA application had been approved. We were only one of 73 projects that were approved out of 300 applications, so that's really good. As I did also report on January 9th, I attended an initial planning meeting with representatives of Yoakum District on January 7th, and then also participated in a general project initiation meeting on January 12th. The Yoakum TxDOT engineers will be doing all of the surveying, the engineering, and bid documents for this project. The project is currently scheduled to let for bids in June of 2027. This project will not require a cash match unless, of course, the project goes over budget, which, of course, we would have the option to decrease the scope if that happens. At the January 7th meeting, TxDOT indicated that the thing on critical path was executing the advanced funding agreement, which is what I'm bringing to you this evening. At the time, they told me that they were going to try to get that AFA to me in time for tonight's meeting. They just barely made it. They got it to us Tuesday morning before we were trying to post the agenda Tuesday afternoon. So to refresh your memories, this TA set-aside project includes the following sidewalks. On FM 1090, which is North Virginia, it goes from Oakland down to HEB with a crosswalk at Independence, and then from Seagreens to Travis Middle School by way of San Antonio and Benavides. The recommendation is to approve this resolution, which authorizes execution of the advanced funding agreement for the 2025 TxDOT Transportation Alternatives Set Aside Project, and to again clarify that there is no cash match required unless, of course, the project goes over budget, but rather we are using, our match is consisting of our state transportation development credits.
I move that we approve this resolution.
We have a motion and a second approving resolution number R-012626-3, authorizing the execution of an advanced funding agreement with the Texas Department of Transportation for a transportation alternatives set-aside program project as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. None opposed, motion passes. Now we can go to agenda item number 10, consider award a construction contract for the General Land Office Community Development Block Grant Mitigation Coastal Resiliency Program, contract number 22-087-001-D226, City of Port Lavaca Living Shoreline Project. Jody?
Mayor, Council, I'm particularly excited about this one. The City of Port Lavaca is a subrecipient of the Community Development Block Grant Mitigation Coastal Resiliency Program and has been awarded funding in the amount of $13,645,005. $645,005. These funds will be used to construct breakwaters and living shorelines that will enhance coastal resiliency through the creation of marsh habitats and oyster reef fish habitats. We recently went out for bids, and this is a project we've been working on for several years. The base bid provides for a rock breakwater with a 4-foot height. Additive 1 is the additional cost to provide a 5-foot height. Additive 2 is the additional cost to provide a 6-foot height. And additive 3 is the additional cost to provide a 7-foot height. The reason why we had split it into those alternatives is because we are on a definite deadline to complete this project, and we could not afford to have to rebid this project. So we wanted to make sure that we were clear or confident that we would be able to award at least the base bid. So on January 16th, we had a bid opening for the Living Shoreline Restoration Project, and we were thrilled to announce that we received 10 bids, and they were really good bids, all of them. The project engineers, Mont McDonald, they prepared and reviewed the bid tabulation and submitted a recommendation letter identifying Maverick Constructors, not Constructions, Constructors LLC from Appaloosa, Louisiana, as the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. The Port Commission at their meeting on Tuesday unanimously concurred with Mont McDonald and voted to recommend to Council to award a construction contract, which includes the total base bid plus additives 1, 2, and 3 for a total contract amount of $10,247,134 to Maverick Constructors LLC for the Living Shoreline Restoration Project. In your packet is the bid tabulation and the recommendation provided by the engineers. We're requesting Council go ahead and authorize an award of the construction contract in the amount of $10,247,134 to Maverick Constructors LLC. There is a copy of the site plan to kind of help refresh your memory on what this project entails, which is the rock breakwater you see on the right side of the sheet. And then there's a oyster reef breakwater over there that helps protect the Clement Cove area, and a new marsh that will be created behind that.
So we looked at the marsh area yet?
Carbon credits?
Getting paid for creating that?
I'm not aware of that, no.
Okay, so is any of this replacing the grass? I mean, are we adding grass or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, the two areas that say marsh creation,
Yeah.
those will be new marsh.
So people get paid for doing that now, right? Carbon credits, because companies need those credits, and then they pay.
I mean, I was to look into it, but I don't know how that works with when we're using federal dollars to do it. I don't know. I think I mentioned that to the engineers a while back, but I don't think I haven't gotten any information from them. But I'll mention that again.
So definitely pursue that. Is this rock going to be actual rock, or is it going to be riprap?
It's rock,
So what kind of rock?
big rock.
Is it going to look like glasses, or is it going to look like typically what we have here?
I mean, it's big. I mean, there's a picture. I think I had a picture in one of a previous report, but it's large rock.
Rocks, okay. And we had talked about putting the sidewalk on top of this, but agreed not to.
No, I mean, that is something, again, Kepler won't pay for, or CDBG won't pay for that.
Okay.
And it's not,
And
there's
that,
nothing that's permitted for that. And they're not, where they're way out in the water is just, it's not
that section breakwater out there has no connection to land whatsoever.
right.
So we're not ever going to have on the left, on the right side for sure, but on the left side, I thought we were looking at like a boardwalk or something.
Those,
Essentially.
I mean, eventually we're going to be looking at permitting a boardwalk that could also be used for fishing.
But that would be closer to the shore.
That would be within that marsh area.
So the groin would not be a candidate to.
And these things are they're oyster. They're 3D printed. What do you call them? They're 3D printed structures that oysters grow on, and they're not conducive for pedestrians to walk on. But they are designed to protect the marsh, which was the requirement or the purpose of the grant, protect the shoreline.
So the marsh will have an elevated walkway over it.
So there's no reason to have the rock groin be part of the elevated. Since it's already being put there. We would want to incorporate that into Boardwalk?
Boardwalks would,
Yeah, it's too far out.
I mean, we don't have a permit for that yet. But where I was envisioning that would be going from Veterans Memorial over to kind of just arcing a little bit and staying relatively close
The breakwater.
with
is
the
very close to-
existing marsh, kind of in that, the south section of where the created marsh is. And then it would tie into the walkway we're fixing to build.
I've seen other locations where, the breakwaters are, this is very, this breakwater is very close to the memorial. It's very close to,
But it's not this reef breakwater. Like I said, they're made out of they're not. These aren't rock.
Yeah,
These are on this side. They're 3D printed. I don't even know what they look like
They're-
natural features.
yeah, they're
look like, so what will we see?
You will see like little small little dome things out of the water. I'll send you a picture of it.
so the rock breakwater is on the harbor side or the marina side.
Yes, the
And
big one is
we have the 3D printed living shoreline breakwater
yeah.
around our marshes, which is not conducive to putting a walkway on top of.
These aren't like the printed oyster habitats that they're putting in, I think, Keller Bay.
I don't know what, I know what these look like.
Those are-
They're like 3x3 cubes and they're,
These are like almost.
and again,
acres.
the contractor may come in and get something else. It's an or equal type thing, but what's suggested is a 3D printed, product that then the oysters, attach to.
So the rock breakwater on the right side, that will be
At a
not concrete riprap.
Yeah.
The actual boulders.
It's at a 7 foot height.
So why are we choosing the highest height as opposed to the lower height? What's the,
Provides more protection. That's obviously, when you get it will protect longer in a higher storm surge, because once the breakwater is breached, it's still protecting some, it still provides some protection, but not nearly as much once it's breached. So the taller the breakwater, the longer it will provide protection until it's
The
breached.
heavy wave action,
Yeah.
not the undercurrents.
and the money not used on this project that's left over can be used on something else, or,
It would be, there's what we've got, I think right now technically we're gonna have like 800,000 left or so. There could be change orders associated with that. When it's done, if, it would have to be associated with this project, and the funds have to be spent by the end of January 2027.
are the funds specific to this project, or?
Yes.
We can use it for any other project?
Correct. Yeah. That's why, we were all concerned that the bids were going to come in too high and we were going to have to cut things down. But clearly we had, I think, 3 bidders within budget. But I think what we've got left after the engineering is right around 11 million. So we're within budget to award the construction contract.
So if it goes over budget, does the extra come out of city?
If it goes over budget, we can't get any more CBG funds. So we would have to, that's why we were looking at trying to, have plan B if we needed to cut back on a scope or something to keep it within budget.
When they bid it, so.
Yeah, and that's why we bid the base bid, alternates 1, 2, 3, which brought it to, we've got enough money to award the full height.
So if it's at 10 million, we accept this, then
10.2 million, yeah.
that's what they will charge, and they can't charge us anymore.
Oh, without the change order.
No, with that, with this scope, correct.
We won't have any change orders.
We hope.
I mean, we don't anticipate, but you never know what, you know.
That's necessary for those change orders.
I mean, as you can see that it is, where is it? I mean, this is, if you look in the bid, it is based, it's not a lump sum bid. It's a unit price bid. So things could change based upon actual quantities. And so, but that's what, you know, we stay in communication with the engineer and the contractor as we go along to make sure that we're not, you know, if something comes in and it looks like it's going to be a whole lot more than what was anticipated, then we'll need to try to make some adjustments someplace else. But these are the, no, there's no contingency fund. Our contingency is what the difference between the amount of money we've got available for construction and what our award is, which our award is like 10,247,000, and I think we have available for construction right around 11 million. So like $750,000 is what we've got available if quantities change. But it is a unit price bid. So I mean, theoretically, it could go less than this, you know.
I thought we had 13 million and 5.
Yeah, but we had to pay the engineer, right? They didn't do that for free either. So yeah, because the other part is the engineering.
I mean, it's a good project.
15.
So if it starts going over, then we would just lower the height.
Yes.
Yeah, we'd reduce the scope of the job.
Yeah, if something goes in, I mean, right now, this is all very technically, I mean, it's technical. The quantities were done with, you know, sophisticated engineering programs. So we don't anticipate there's going to be any significant change to this. But if something were, yeah, I mean, it looks like we're, something is happening and we miscalculated something, we'd have to shorten the length of the breakwater, would be an option. I mean, those were some of the things we had looked at, you know, at a point when we were worried we might have to, you know, change the scope to when we were thinking the cost was going to be higher. But what we had ended up doing, instead of making it short or whatever, we just did different elevations.
So each company was bidding on the exact same information.
Exact same information, yes.
Provided by McNaughton.
Yes, and it's all still on the website if anybody wants to look at the bid documents. Yes.
But if McNaughton missed it, then we have no recourse. We just have to absorb the cost.
Well, yeah, but you know.
I mean, it is, I mean, yeah, I mean, an engineer is not going to, I mean, most engineering contracts, I mean, there's no guarantee of anything. But you monitor it, and if for some reason, I mean, if something is way out of whack to where you want to invoke their errors and emissions insurance, that would be our recourse if something was really bad, you know, because they do have errors and emissions insurance. But we would hope we monitor that to where we wouldn't get to that point.
Is there an estimated starting and ending date on this project?
Yes, I mean, I think they have, the contract specifies everything wrapped up so we can be assured we'll have everything done by the end of January of 2027. The person and the I don't remember. I want to say it was like
Or does that negate the need for the breakwater at nautical landing?
No, but I mean, it helps if it's for sure.
Sure on that?
But ClearGov site, but there's lots of information that shows the impact of breakwater here reduces the wave height, of anything between it and the shore. Now, the breakwater at nautical landings, I mean, that is still needed. I mean, as you can see, we've got a, this breakwater can't go across the channel, of course. So that helps. It specifically protects nautical landings, the harbor, that one. So we would still want to have that. And again, we just fixed it, so it should be good for a while.
Is the Port Commission was okay with all this?
Yes, and I can tell you, Raymond Butler has been very close to this project from day one. He's attended nearly all the same meetings I've had with during design. And there were several of them, we had 2 or 3 commissioners attending, but he's been pretty consistently involved from day one.
I think the tax rate, we should be taking advantage of. So, because a company like them, they need them. So they pay for it. They're living short on projects, right? So
Well, the other ones are all grant match. Yeah.
So maybe we do the infrastructure with the grant money and then plans with.
This is the only federal grant dollar one, isn't it?
Well, Kepra, well, that's true. I mean, Kepra is state. I don't know if I think if it's got any ties to federal dollars or not. But this one, yes, is definitely federal.
Port Commission recommended this total base bid added to bid 1, 2, and 3
Yes.
for the $10,247,134.
Yes.
Do we have a motion?
Just to be clear, the money for this, the 13 million grant is specifically for this project. We can't use it for anything else, even if we reduce the cost.
Right.
Make a motion to award the project.
Motion and a second to award the project as presented to Maverick Construction LLC, which includes the total base bid, the additive 1 bid, the additive 2 bid, and the additive 3 bid for a total contract amount of $10,247,134 as presented. So all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. None opposed, motion passes. Right, we can now move to agenda item number 11, consider award of construction contract to the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, Restore Bucket 1 Mitigation Grant Shoreline Cleanup, contract number 5822379. Jody?
This project actually goes back about 10 years, honestly. The City of Port Lavaca received a grant from the U.S. Treasury Administrators to remove, transport, and properly dispose of derelict vessel remnants stations within Lavaca Bay in Port Lavaca. There's a sketch in your packet showing Site A includes 3 derelict vessels off of Smith Harbor, and then Site B was 1 derelict vessel. It's a steel barge remnant that's located off of the groin that's near the nautical landings breakwater. The city received 2 bids from responsive bidders for this project: Taylor Marine Construction Incorporated and Derrick Construction Company Incorporated. In your packet are some references that we received. Staff has worked with Derrick Construction several times, but we had not worked with Taylor Marine. But all the information and feedback we got from Taylor Marine was that they are a very good company. At its meeting on January 20th, the Port Commission reviewed the bid tabulation, the supporting documentation, and they recommended awarding the construction contract to Taylor Marine Construction Incorporated as the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. So we're asking council to review the bid tabulation and to award the construction contract for the Restore Bucket 1 mitigation to Taylor Marine Construction for the base bid and the additive alternate would be both vessels amount of $407,000. And there's a bid tabulation, the project site, and references in your packet.
How come the people that left this stuff there are not held accountable for that?
Well, I mean, as I understand it, these were put in years ago by this Smith family for as kind of I guess a breakwater in part, or
Fish habitat.
a fish habitat. We'll be creating some fish habitat with the breakwater. These are, they're unsightly and they're not really safe because they're all rusty vessels.
So they were put on there, they were put there on purpose.
Yes, yeah, many years ago.
And that's also the land we bought.
Yes, and
We said it's ours. We bought it
just
this way.
as is, correct. Yeah.
Yeah, they've been sitting out there for a lot of years.
The alternative bid,
That number, if you look on the site plan, site B, there's a long vessel right there that's kind of parallel. If you look at
big discrepancy in the bid.
I know, we talked to them. I think they put all their money in the base bid, and while they were there, it wasn't going to take them too much to do the other one.
Derrick had a bid except for that additive, that
Right,
addition
but that's what,
alternative.
I guess we didn't put, I don't know, if we didn't put the,
Taylor or Derek, they're both good.
yes. And I guess it was in the Port Commission packet. It didn't get in this one. I did have some photographs of Site B that I took on New Year's Day, I think, when the tide was really low. But it's just another long vessel that's laying kind of parallel to that groin, that rock groin that ties into the timber bulkhead.
See, it would take that much more to mobilize to take
Right.
that one out.
I mean, just while they're there, they just,
And Derrick decided it would take a lot of effort.
some money left on. It should be. Another piece of moved and
Chances are they'll probably find something else.
we'll see. It wasn't identified in the original survey, but and part of their project is to do a
Again, if we don't use the grant money for this project, then there's no access.
This is what it's for, yeah, it's for this. Yeah, it's got to be sent up to TCQ for their approval, at least 30 days or so. A start, notice to begin construction.
But once it's removed, I mean, we're doing this just for the look for it.
For looks and for safety. Yeah, because
For,
for, you know,
that's not very,
voters,
Backing out there,
voters
you're
or anybody that's out
it's
there.
not very deep out there. I don't think you can hold it out there.
Well, I mean, people sometimes walk out to it, yeah.
Okay.
It's
It's gonna get land.
We have a motion to
Really?
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to work. Contract on the pilot.
presented. Green. Yeah, got a second?
Yes.
We have a motion and a second approving the award of the construction contract for the TCQ Restore Bucket One Mitigation Grant Shoreline Cleanup. Contract number 52234217 as presented to Taylor Marine Construction, and the base bid amount of $363,000 and the additive and the opposed, same sign. You're not opposed, motion passes. Something done. All right, now we're page 10. See presentation from Public Works regarding a proposal for a 500 gallon per minute trihalomethane removal system from VA Craft Manufacturing LLC. Wayne?
Mayor, Council, as you remember, in July of 2024, we were placed under an agreed order with TCQ for violations of our trihalomethanes. We are now in year 2 of it, and I was going backwards, not forwards. So I'm bringing to you the pilot study that was done by Vaycraft Manufacturing, which is actually an engineering company that makes a THM removal system. They came and did a pilot test for us. And in that pilot test, after 6 minutes of runtime, they effectively removed 80% of the trihalomethanes from the water that ran through it. So together I would need, I filled out, I'll send them all the information about our water system, and what they came back with after they changed names from Wiggins Engineering to Vaycraft Manufacturing, because they're doing this all over the place. There's a city in Louisiana that has 300 methanes, and they're almost 100% removal for them. So they did all the numbers and everything for us, and we only need a 500 gallon per minute unit to reach the numbers that we need to use. So that's one unit, as opposed to in your packet I also gave we had in PS Water. So one unit from craft manufacturing, which is half the price. to do the same job. You don't have to make any decisions on this yet. This is just information I wanted to present to you. Now, of course, if you want to make a choice on that, it would make my job a whole lot easier because then we start moving forward rather than backwards on this. But I mean, I understand that this is not budgeted funds. We'd have, either pull the money from reserves or set aside a different project.
I guess one looking at tower, the George Street tank.
I don't have the power capabilities at the village. This is a 3-phase unit.
Tank.
Right now is going to pay for engine, George. Yes, I'm. That grant paperwork.
Blended with everything should bring our levels down within compliance.
So I guess the way it's been explained to us is the village is the one that doesn't have a lot of recirculation, so it's the one that always, it's the culprit. The other,
It's not. I mean, it's
All of our tests.
water age is the culprit.
okay.
However, George is a tower that's influenced.
That because they're out of there, it's creating a $275,000.
We've had that discussion, yes. I don't know if you can just to them specific about this option. And I know things, but
I
It is.
understand that completely. It's what I need to do is address TCQ, and TCQ says we must. They haven't.
and so when you think that, again, I mean, we're talking about this one unit. Again, that's only going to be for our elevated tank at George Street. So if they were doing it at the plant, would this same just 500 gallon minute
No, because
work, or they would need more?
they would need more. This is only to bring us and remove our age completely. This is going to bring in compliance.
This isn't a ground storage tank, or this is a tower. So how does that impact village?
It won't be in the tower. It'll be stationed next to the tower. Tower will come through. 127 at Sandal.
But I mean, you know, we could bring this and try to talk to Undyne and suggest they look into this.
Yeah, they need to, I mean.
So
our part-
if Undyne were to do something similar to this and get their, I mean, would our residence time issues still be an issue, or would this eliminate the issue for us?
I think it depends on how low they get it. Right?
Yeah, and that
They're saying it's a 10% reduction.
well, that was our small unit that we ran for that little bit of time. We got 80% reduction. I mean, we're talking,
This is like an aeration thing, right? So
yeah, but we're talking 500 gallons a minute out of an average 1.5 million gallon flow per day. So we're only taking a piece of pie out of that whole equation and treating. It's not 100% treatment. So we're just looking to bring ourselves into compliance to meet. Now, I can get the whole system to make us clear for everything, and that'd be a unit at Village, a unit at George, and it'd be 1,000 gallon a minute units at each place, and we'd be zero. But I mean, we're looking at big dollars there.
We probably need to do this, and Undyne needs to do it also.
Yeah, so our water age is going to be our water age. We can't force people to use water in neighborhoods where they don't use water. And that's the issue I have with Village Towers. Nobody in that neighborhood uses, we don't have a high usage over there.
that's where the pipeline between them will help.
Yes, that'll help.
Can we just recirculate?
Chlorine still dissipates, and infection byproduct still circulating or not. You have to have something to aerate and dissipate.
I like that we're doing something, but I really think we need to put the pressure back on Undyne and say, hey, you know.
Well, that's what I was saying. I mean, you know,
Yeah,
we're
that's-
just bringing this tonight, not expecting any action, but we could.
Just wanted the information to be presented to you so that you knew what tools are in my toolbox right now that I'm.
So we can try to get with that guy,
So it can go in my
their reaction.
quarterly report to TCQ that says, yes, we're doing something because this is part of my written policy, written plan to address the issues, which according to our review, do within 180 days. And then I got to do a report every 365. However, we have to have reached compliance by 1,100 days.
And when is that?
We are at the 2-year mark, or coming up. Yeah, we'll be coming up on a 2-year mark in July.
Another year?
We've got another year and a couple of months.
I went, you know, I guess on Friday, some information. I mean, I went back, we had any significant, we're still well over 110. And Undyne is too.
Yeah, the last test I did was I pulled just a sample out of the George Tower, and it's not a reportable, so we can't quote this or report this number anywhere because I don't have all of the tools to do this test. But my result out of George Tower was 120.
What's our limit?
80.
80. Yeah.
So am I dying by drinking the water without? Good presentation.
You have the option. You're not required to. I'm not asking you to.
George Street, so now we have the tank, the ground tank. Does the water go into the tank and then out, or does it go, what's the distribution look like now?
The distribution is exactly the same as it was before the ground storage tank.
Okay,
Everything the plant sends us goes into distribution, which is a part of our water age problem.
okay. So being at one point doesn't solve everything, although you're saying that eventually it makes its way.
So, best case scenario, solve a lot of our issues that we have with water age. We run a dedicated line to the ground storage tank at George from the water plant. And we build another ground storage tank at Village and run a dedicated line to that from the water plant. And then we control our towers off of our own pumps. But we're talking 30, $40 billion or $1 million to run new water lines.
I know the quote on that for just the water line back in 2000, what was that, 17 or 18? That was like 13 to 14 million dollars.
Yeah, so let's say
That's been almost 10 years ago.
we're looking at 30 to $40 million just in water lines, and that's not constructing a new ground.
So Thundine, I mean, the water goes, they have, what, 2 tanks in series? I don't know, well, they refurbished that every time. Is it simple as the and then, because they know what's the county, the rural water system.
Yes, they do. Yes.
Yeah, so I mean.
Is that a compliant? Yeah.
They still have to figure this out, right? So that's.
So they've narrowed down where their problem's at.
Okay.
Narrowed down how to solve it. Because their problem is in storage. Once they get to move they we haven't had get it gave like it's contract. I will next time. Meeting with
We need a motion. We need a motion. So we have to make a motion for. A regular meeting to have.
Just adjourn the meeting as chair of the